What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I am an entrepreneur and investor, and I have been invested in the Iraqi dinar since 2011. This video is not financial advice. Everything shared is my own personal thoughts. So it is currently Sunday evening. It is the 8th of March. It is about 7:30 p.m. and it looks like we are going to have a very interesting week ahead of us, especially when it comes to the crude oil market. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video was because I don't think a lot of people realize how critical the current oil market is tied to the currency or the value of the currency of Iraq. Okay, so as of today, crude oil futures are about $106 per barrel. Now, before we invaded Iran, a little over a week ago, oil was trading at about $67 per barrel of oil. So that is a significant increase. We're probably going to see, gas prices at the pump go to, close to $4 a gallon this week, maybe even higher. Now, even though that sucks, if you obviously have to buy gas for your car, I want to explain why this is actually a very positive thing for the possible revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, and why higher oil prices are actually, super important for the backing of the currency that we are all speculating is going to revalue at hopefully a relatively high rate. So one thing you have to realize is that Iraq is one of the largest oil producers in the world. Iraq is number 5 on the list of the top oil producing countries in the world. The reason why that's very, very important is because as oil prices increase, so does the Iraqi reserves. Okay, so think of it this way in just very simplistic terms, right? Let's say you're a business and you're charging $50 an hour for your services. Well, if you're essentially able to start charging $100, an hour for your services, that's a $50 increase from the $50 rate. Well, guess what? That's all profit, right? Now you're making an extra $50, an hour, essentially from doing no extra work and doing nothing. The same thing is really happening right now in the oil markets. We're seeing oil start to skyrocket because of, really a few factors. We have the Straits of Hormuz in Iran that is currently, shut down. We have Israel that just bombed Iran's oil refineries last night. So there's a lot of things happening right now, in the oil market, but essentially it's driving up oil. Oil is skyrocketing. And again, Iraq's ability to revalue the Iraqi dinar at a decent rate really comes down to a few things, right? Their money supply, and their natural resources and their current reserves. So if they're able to make substantially more money from oil, then guess what? That means they would essentially be able to back their currency at a higher rate, which is something that all of us are really speculating on, right? If you're here watching this video, that's what we are all betting on, is that the currency that we are currently holding, Iraq is going to either reinstate back to the former value at about $3.81 per Iraqi dinar to the US dollar, or they're going to revalue, at a rate that is much higher than it currently is. So higher oil prices for us is actually a good thing. Okay. And I know it sounds kind of, counterproductive because of course, if you have cars and you have to get to work and, transport yourself, higher oil prices means higher gas prices, and it's never a good thing. I mean, the U.S. economy is going to be feeling this in the very, very short term if gas prices and oil prices, remain at these high levels. And they're estimating that, prices or the barrel of oil could potentially reach, $120 this upcoming week, which is, pretty crazy to even think about. So we have to see how this week plays out. But again, I've always kind of felt deep down that before Iraq revalued the Iraqi dinar, I've always had a feeling that oil prices were going to skyrocket just before that happened. And again, that's actually a good thing if you hold the Iraqi dinar currency and if you are speculating that the currency is going to go much higher, which is what we all want. Another important thing to think about is I think the higher oil prices are going to put a lot more pressure on Iraq passing the hydrocarbon law, also known as the HCL. this law, they've been disputing this law really for the last almost 20 years in the country of Iraq. So essentially what this means is the region of Kurdistan and Baghdad, they're going back and forth trying to figure out what percentage to, essentially pay their citizens, because the citizens of Iraq get a percentage of the oil revenues that are brought in. So they've been disputing, these percentages between the Kurdistan region and Baghdad for, almost 20 years now. And this is really why the Iraqi dinar has not revalued, all these years, because Iraq does nothing fast. They are in no rush whatsoever to do anything, which is why it's taken forever to form their government, to have that political stability that we've all been waiting for. I mean, they just do not move fast. So I do think that higher oil prices is going to put a lot more pressure on them to get the HCL law passed, which will be a good thing, because then the citizens will, be able to start receiving those funds, from the oil revenue that Iraq is currently making. So all of this remains to be seen. However, if you are an investor in the country of Iraq, if you do hold the Iraqi dinar, these are all good things that we're seeing. We are seeing the eradication of the Iranian regime, not just throughout the world, but also in the country of Iraq. We're getting rid of a lot of their proxy politicians, a lot of their proxy government officials, any Iranian influence that has been hindering Iraq from moving forward. We're seeing all of that begin to topple. So, with higher oil prices, with, the Iranian regime toppling, there are so many good things to be excited about. And I've honestly, over the last 15 years since I've been invested in the Iraqi dinar, I have never seen this much action happening in such a short amount of time. So does that mean the Iraqi dinar is going to revalue tomorrow or this month or this year? I don't know. I hope it's sooner rather than later. I have a feeling it's going to be sooner than later, and that's what we're all hoping and believing for. But again, everything we're seeing in front of us is very, very positive. It's very, very exciting. And again, I think this week ahead is going to be a very telling week, with oil prices going much, much higher. We're still striking Iran. Israel is still striking Iran. There's still a lot of back and forth going on. I don't think this war is close to being over, and things could happen at any moment. So like I always say, guys, stay prayed up, keep our troops in your prayers, keep the USA and Israel in your prayers. And I'll be filming a few more videos this week, just kind of giving my thoughts on the current situation. But until then, let me know below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know, what you think is going to happen this week. Let me know maybe some signs or some things that you're looking for a possible, Iraqi dinar revaluation. I want to hear from you. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you get notified every time I drop a new video. So hope you guys have a great night, and we'll chat soon. Bye-bye.